Hello and welcome back to Aylowe's Space Race Part 2. So in the last episode we started off, what did we do? We basically just got the ship moving. So there was a lot of coding, getting the ship to move forward and not backwards, because ships don't reverse, spaceships don't reverse, do they? And strafing left and right and rotating. So that was basically, it took us an hour to get to there. So we're going to see what we're going to move on to next. So we're going to just start here and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And I'll start at a bit where I actually don't do anything. Okay, here we go. If you're wondering why I'm recording a video of a video, basically this is from last year, my first year of college. I didn't have a webcam, I didn't have a microphone, I didn't have any way of recording anything other than my screen, which I use OBS for. But I built up a library of stuff from last year to go over and basically just keep a diary of what I've been doing for the last year. And now I'm finally getting around to doing it, you know, quarantine, we're all stuck at home. I do have college assignments to finish, but, you know, I think this is important as well because this is something that I really want to get done. I really want to get this started and I really want to try and nurture it and get it to grow. And I know that will take time, but I've got 3 years left in college if I get all my stuff done and hand it in and keep going. So I've got plenty of time. So here we go. So I'm going to try and get it to boost. So a bool can boost. I said it in the last episode, you can code, I've been told you can code pretty much anything with booleans and if statements. So we haven't had a boolean yet, so this is our first bool. A boolean. Can boost. Can boost? Yes, you can. So a boolean is a true or false statement. It can only return true or false. Great ways to do... I have debris. So I downloaded a debris package from the asset store, from Unity's asset store. And because I said this in the last one, right? The reason there's a white square there is that is a plane that I put down to show that the ships are moving, so the player is moving, because the background image does not move. So when you're flying around with a non-moving background image and nothing around you, you can't tell that you're moving. So I put in the plane to see that. I do need to create a racetrack of sorts, or as much of a racetrack as I can in space. Now I do that, but I think my initial idea was to take the ship debris and have it like, so I say all this debris that I got from the asset store. And I was going to try and make a debris field race course. So that there would be all this debris, each bit of debris would have colliders on it so that the ship could not hit them. Well, it could hit them, but it could not pass through them. So that is what would keep you on track. And you see, I do try that. But I think right now what I'm doing is putting these in just to show how fast my ship is moving. Does it crash into them? What happens when it crashes into them? And I have this issue where once I hit something, I start rotating and it gets very difficult to control. Like, I can still do my own rotations, but it's the rotation from the collision still happens. Now, I do know how to fix that now. I don't know if I ever fixed it in this, though. Because again, this was from a year ago. There's a way to lock it. Sorry. Just wondering why I changed that to mouse look. I guess that's what it is. I think I've taken that code. Oh, because I'm going to do a different... Okay, well, that's fair. So let's see what I'm doing. If input.getKey, key code, Q. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing barrel rolls. So the way I have it set up at the minute is if you press W, you move forward. If you press A and D, you strafe left and right. If you move your mouse up and down, you move up and down, and if you move your mouse left and right, you rotate left and right. So Q and E is going to do a rotate. I love those serialized fields. Now, I said this in the last video, I had not arguments but heated discussions with my coding teacher in college about serialized fields because he hates them and thinks it's wrong to use them, and I got into the habit of using them through Udemy courses that I've taken. But this is an assignment I was doing for him, and part of the assignment was to hand up all the scripts, and all my scripts just used serialized fields, and he didn't dock me marks for it because you can't do that, there's nothing wrong with it, but it bugged him so much that it just kind of fired up more of these conversations like, why are you using serialized field all the time? Like, because it works. Because it makes, so if you didn't watch the last video and you're wondering what the hell is a serialized field, it takes a variable that your head not working. It shows a private variable in the inspector in Unity, which means that if you have something like player health or a ship speed, that you don't need any other script to access that variable, so you make it private so that no other script can interact with it in any unexpected ways. But let's say I'm a game developer, a game designer, right? But I don't know any coding. So I get a programmer to do this bit. The programmer sends me the script, and then I go through the level and I test it, and I say, okay, well, you know what, the ship isn't going fast enough, but I don't know how to change that in code, and he hasn't used a serialized field, so I can't see it in the inspector. I then have to either go back to him and say, the ship is moving too slowly, so then he'll say, okay, well, I did 100, so I'll try 200. Then he sends the script back to me, and I go in and I play it, and I go, now it's too fast. Send it back to him. Or else I end up going into the script myself and trying to fiddle with the code, which if you're not a coder and you take a programmer's scripts and start fiddling with it without, it might annoy them. It might not, you never know. So that is one reason why serialized fields are quite handy, is that it gives the designer of the level, just the ability to tweak the values to make the gameplay fit what they want. The other thing is, if you are doing both, like I am here, you can play it, test it, and you can then change the variables in the inspector in real time. You can do it while you're playing and then just like tweak the variables. And then you can set it in the inspector and it will override whatever's in the script, which just saves you having to go back to the script, type in a new number randomly, and then saving the script, going back out. So it just makes things easier. And I don't know what the issue is with it. It doesn't, excuse me, it doesn't slow anything down as far as I know. So I don't know what my teacher's issue with it was. He has explained and argued with me about it, but I still disagree. So there we go. Q is, we go back to the game. Q, as you can see, is rotating it. Ow, did that come up on the mic? Ow. Have I only instigated Q? Because if I have, and I'm hitting E, then he's not working. Or if I've only hit Q, then, but it's quite slow, isn't it? So I'm still, in the last video we were getting the movement to work. I'm still obviously getting the movement. Oh. We'll see how long this takes. No, never mind. Never mind. Private thoughts. Personal thoughts. Random, just, yeah. Mind your own beeswax. Yeah, so, how are y'all doing? Input the gate. In the gate too. Yes, if you're watching this sometime in the future, this is happening during the April 2020 COVID-19 extravaganza. Most people I know are going a little bit insane by this stage. It's been a month of isolation, so it's fun. We're having so much fun. Oh yeah. And this is how I pass my time. I talk to myself and pretend that you people will answer and talk back to me on YouTube. Comment below, tell me things, talk to me, how are you all keeping? Share this with people so that I can get more people to talk to me, and just lonely, I guess. Lonely like everybody else. So mouse sensitivity is how much the mouse will affect how quickly it'll rotate. Rotate speed is the rotation speed of the ship. Thrust is forward. And as you can see, this is a perfect example of those serialized fields. So I can just tweak those. So now you can see it's actually rotating quicker than it was before. And as a designer, I could say, that's still a bit slow. Like, it's a spaceship. It's supposed to be like, do you want it to be really quick barrel roll? But if you do, then you just change your rotate speed. The thrust speed is how fast it goes forward and back. So I'm just putting in random numbers to see what feels right for the feeling of the game that I'm looking for as the developer. And I'm doing all this without having to go back into the code and change the values. And that's too fast. Although I think the rotation is pretty cool. And now I'm lost. Oh, there we go. And this is the other thing, right? I said in the last video, because there was a lot of, there was some talk of using rigidbody.addForce instead of transform.translate. And rigidbody is used for physics. And I'm using that at the minute for another sci-fi spaceship, 2D Space Invaders type thing. And it gives the ship more feeling of realism because you're adding a force to it. You can increase the drag so that the ship slowly stops over time. And yeah, so it's you see there like the ship would just stop and hover, the spaceship. Like, I'm hitting W, I stop hitting W, the ship just stops, dead. That's not realistic for a spaceship. For a character that's walking, yes. For a spaceship, no. So I actually should have, and I did originally, if you watched the last video, moving forward I used rigidbody.addForce, and I only stopped, I used transform to translate for move A and D, and then I changed moving forward to transform.translate. But I think that using rigidbody.addForce is better because it just makes it feel more like a spaceship. But these are the things that we learn. And I don't think I fixed that. And that's more about game feel and I mean, I guess there could be an argument of what is game design. And let's get into that argument, shall we? We've nothing better to do. So, game design, is it just level design? Are you just designing how it looks? Does it include game feel? Can you design game feel? Yeah, I mean, obviously you can. Every developer has a way that they want their game to feel, but is that... Who decides that? Is that the designer? Would it be the developer? I mean, where do you draw the line between them? Oh, it's not the programmer. I guess you've got a level designer and then you've got an overall game designer. The problem is that it's hard for me to talk, apparently. It's hard for me to especially with those job roles, it's hard for me to kind of separate them because I've been doing all the job roles for the stuff, with the exception of the group projects where we all work together and do our own little pieces. But for most of the assignments that we have, and for the projects that I've been working on myself over the summer between last year and this year, and the stuff that I will be working on during this summer and stuff and going forward, I have been doing all the job roles. So I have been the developer and the designer So when it gets to those kind of roles, I'm kind of the lines blur. But hey, that's life. That's what the people say. Why have I stopped? I'd gone to look up something. The game is still playing though, so I'm not sure if Unity's crashed on me, because sometimes Unity crashes a lot. Doesn't look like it crashed though. I was plugging in my phone. This is not today, that is past me's phone. I mean, it's still present me's phone as well, because that's what I have, but... Oh, speaking of phones... Huh, interesting. So we're going back to... Well, yeah, okay, print W. If you don't know what that means, it was basically just a way of me knowing that the W key was working. It would just print W pressed in the console when I hit W. It's a way of debugging and testing your script to make sure that everything is working. I know that all that is working now. I don't need that in my script. I still do that if I can't find anything. I'll go line by line, do a debug or a print, debug.log or a print. And once I get to the bit where it's not working, then I know the bit that I need to work on. And once it's done, then I delete it out, because I don't like seeing all these messages, excuse me, popping up in my console. Oh, we're gonna get to see me Google something. I thought I would have done this on my second screen. Although last year did I have the second screen? I got my digital design tablet for Christmas after I started college, so Christmas of 2018. Oh, I'm going into... I am Googling, yeah, on Spotify. You gotta do your music, yo. And I might put some calm little music underneath this, because me talking a lot might be... What's on my daily mix? Oh, wait, here we go. This might be an issue. I'm going to turn my desktop audio down. Just a little bit. Okay, no. Oh, we're going into the... No, I can't. I cannot have... Yeah, no, I don't think this is going to be good. Well, you know what? We're going to see how this works. My worry... I'm just looking at the levels on the audio. I'm worried that my mic is going to pick up the sound coming from my desktop. And I think for copyright reasons I can't have those songs be played. Which is why I'm turning it off. So we might have to scrap this. Well, I don't know. But you got to see that, yeah. A bit of my music taste there. And anyone who knows me will not be surprised to see the musical theatre songs. At all. Now I'm doing particle. Now, this year I've done a lot more work with particle systems and particle effects. I've found it so good. I quite enjoy it. I'm trying to learn more. And we have not officially learned it yet. So, especially like last year, we didn't learn anything about particle effects. So this was me just messing around and trying to get it all working. So basically what I want to do is, because I need a track, right? So what I want to do is get a track, but I want rings, basically. Waypoint rings for the ships to fly through. And that is, I want them to be a particle effect. So that it'll be a little bit kind of cool. Going a little bit above and beyond, not necessary for the assignment, but you know, I wanted to learn this, so I threw it in. And it worked out okay. I could do it better now, but obviously, you know, first time using particle systems. Yeah, I think it is picking it up. I'm an idiot. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to just turn that down. Although, it doesn't seem to have made a difference. We'll see. We'll see what happens when I get to the end of it. I don't know. So you can see this is basically me messing around with the particle effects. Green for the first one, obviously. Green for all of them, I think I end up doing. But I should have done green for just the first one, because green means go. So that'll be your first one. But I mean, it's not looking great now because it's just, you know, a bunch of purpley squares, but it'll get better, I promise. So in the version of Unity, actually it was in this version as well, 2018. It came out at some point in 2018. The HDRP, the Unity High Definition Render Pipeline, which brought out the Unity Visual Effects Graph, which is a node-based GPU particle system. Whereas this particle system here uses the CPU, so you're limiting the number of particles you can put in a scene before your computer absolutely tanks. And I have had it happen by accidentally adding one too many zeros when I'm typing, that Unity just completely shot itself and died a death. And I lost a couple of hours of work because I forgot to save. So, but the visual effects graph, you can have millions of particles because it's based on your GPU, not your CPU. So the better your graphics processor, the more particles you can have. Now I have a mid-range computer and I've had about 5 million particles in the scenes that I've been testing with nothing else in it. So that's quite impressive, and you can do things that look so cool. So that's what I'm trying to learn this year, but it's only in the high definition render pipeline, and I have had to do some assignments in the standard pipeline, so I have had to use this particle system more as well this year, which is good because it's still quite handy, because the VFX graph doesn't have collisions, so you can use this. You can have each particle can have a collider on it, and you can send collision messages, so you can use it for like laser beams, and it can hit an enemy, and then you can deal damage based on that collision, where you can't do that with the VFX graph yet. So you've got all these different options. So duration, how long it's going to last, will the effect loop? If it's an explosion, it probably won't loop. A laser, you could have it loop and it would just go pew, pew, pew. Is there going to be a delay before it starts? This is the start size. Now I think I've just used the default particle, so it's basically just a little particle. Now, see, the thing is, I can get a circle, but I want a donut or a torus. And no matter how much start size I mess with, that's not going to change anything. So I've changed the color. Plain awake just means that when the game starts, this effect will play. Not necessarily when the game starts either. Like, you can instantiate, or for lack of a better term, drop an object into a scene, create an object in a scene. And if that object has a particle effect that has play and awake on it, then as soon as that object is created in the scene, it will play the particle effect. I use that. I use empty game objects for lasers and stuff. Or you can just, through code, access it and tell it when to play. I'm looking for a donut. Not a cone. Why would I choose a cone? I mean, that doesn't even make sense. Max particles, you can see there. I put an arbitrary number in, I don't know why. But the emission rate over time is it'll release 10 particles every second until it reaches the max particles. If it reaches the max particles, but you have a lifetime, a particle lifetime, so the particles will die after this amount of time. This is obviously, I can make the particles appear in a cone shape, handy for like fires and that kind of stuff, or I use that a lot for thrusters on ships. I think oh, is that what I'm working on here? No. Oh, just, yeah, okay, just delete the whole thing. I do add a thruster to the ships. So that could have been what I was working on. Why do I want a cylinder? I'm baffled by what I'm doing right now. Baffled. What use is a cylinder to me here? Scale it up. Okay. Big ass cylinder. No. What am I? A long cylinder. Okay, I think I'm trying to make a track. I think. So I think what I want would be like the ships to be flying through the cylinder, and then maybe have something connected at the end, and then another cylinder coming off of it. I think that's what's going through my head right now. Right now, back then. That's, I mean, possible to do. Don't think it's necessarily the easiest thing to do. And it's not what I end up doing, spoiler alert, but there we go. I wonder what my mic is picking up. Every time I don't talk, I still see that little audio thing jumping. Even since I turned off my volume. We're gonna have to see if that picked up the music. Yes, so I think that is what I'm doing. I think I'm trying to make a track. But therein lies the problem. How would I get the track to turn if it's all one cylinder? Or even a couple of cylinders? Yep, that ain't gonna work. Now, of course, I could go and 3D model some cylinders and add twist modifiers onto them and bend modifiers, excuse me, and make it work that way. And I do declare, I do believe I'll go into 3ds Max, yes. So the 3ds Max takes a while to open up, so let's just speed up this process and see. Now I know exactly what I do. And again, I don't know why I did it this way. I can think of easier ways to do it now. But, considering it's my first year, I was still learning, I think this was quite an ingenious way to hack my way through getting what I wanted done. I certainly don't think it is a good way, but it's, you know. So what I have is a track, an outline of a track. Now it's a spline, so it's just a line. There's no size to it. There's no definition to it. It's just a track. I did it in the perspective view, which I shouldn't have done, but I did, which is fine because this is a spaceship. Although you can see from the front view and from the left view, it's flat. But because this is a spaceship race, a space race, I am going to elevate some stuff because I do want it to be going up and down and around. I thought it was going up there. This is why you don't do stuff in the perspective view, because you can't actually tell what way it's going in 3D space. Yeah, you can see it's coming down here a bit. And I'm just making the corners smooth, so I'm just making them some curves, Bevier curves, I believe, so that I can smooth all these. smooth. So I go around, do all of these. So here we go, right? In this one you're going to not only see coding and Unity, you also get to see some 3D Max hacking. Hacking together a three-dimensional spaceship racetrack. Probably should have sketched out. This is the thing I'm terrible with when it comes to designing stuff, is that usually I just jump into Unity or 3D Max and start working and figure it out as I go, which either doesn't work all the time or can take me a lot longer than it should have, or needs to. What I should do is sketch things down. Now, I'm not a great drawer, but you don't need to be a great drawer. Skyrim, sorry. That's thrown me. Skyrim. Yes, you don't need to be a great artist. That's what I was saying. You don't need to be a great artist. You can do rough sketches just to give yourself an idea of what you want. Or if you know anyone who's a good artist, you can beg them to do it for you, which I have done on a few occasions, and will probably still do. But even for like a layout, you don't need to be good. Like, you could draw something like this on a piece of paper, just so that you know what you want your track to look like, and it can be a squiggle, so that you can go in and you could find a way to annotate where you want it to be higher up and lower down, rather than just throwing it all together and hoping that it works, which is what I do. And in all, like, it worked, but it also didn't work, if you get me. Like, it worked because I made it work and I didn't bother going back and fixing it and changing it. It was fine. It's just a track. You can go, it doesn't really matter what it looks like. But it also wasn't what I wanted. Now here's the crazy bit. So back with the cylinder. This is, yes, one of the things that I knew how to do in 3D Max that I have forgotten. Convert it to an editable spline or an editable poly. And take that. I know I can use that to map the spline. And then that line will then take the shape of the cylinder. Shape merge? I don't remember. Loft. Get shape, yes. Lofting in 3ds Max. Rarely used. We were shown it. We used it to make a banana. And I don't think I've used it since. Whoa. Yeah, that's not a racetrack. If you ever want to make a knot or a... I don't even know what that could be. Pretzel? A bunch of shit just crumpled up together? I don't know. Here's the thing, I know what this ends up looking like, and it looks awful. Loft, get shape. No, it's the same thing, it didn't work. I had this discussion in the graveyard scene where booleaning things never worked for me, and I was blaming 3ds Max. I'm going to say lofting doesn't work for me all the time, and I'm going to blame 3ds Max, but I know it's really me. I know it's my problem. I know I'm doing it wrong. So this is what I ended up with. This worked. Well, I mean, this was basically what I wanted. It worked to a point. Then I just needed to give it shape, make it three-dimensional. Look at how awful that is. But here's the thing. I think my plan was to bring this into Unity, give it a mesh collider that was a trigger, and then say when you left that trigger you were out of bounds. So that you would have to follow the contours of the racetrack. However, what I could have done, and what I might actually do in the end, I got what I ended up with. Why am I still? I'm still trying different things to try and get something else. But basically, I could have just put a cube around the flight area, because I'm going to be putting the waypoints and the gates you have to fly through in that kind of pattern. So it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't need the space to... And then just have penalties for missing. Oh, look, there we go. I'm making a ring. I mean, did I make a ring? Interesting. Oh, I put a circle in. I was trying to get this, yeah. I was being an idiot, basically. Or a perfectionist. That's the problem. I had an idea in my head, and being as stubborn as I am, I was determined to figure out a way to make it work. When there was a much easier way to do it, just extrude that out. I mean, I don't even need this. I just need a box. I mean, that's almost already a box. That's pretty cool, though. I don't use splines that much anymore. I forgot how you could get some really interesting shapes with splines and then just extrude them out. Something to keep in mind for this year, for the stuff that I'm working on, because sometimes it is actually easier it's basically just draw it and then you make it three-dimensional, which is quite cool, rather than having to fiddle with all these little vertices on a cube to turning it into a sphere, which you can do, but why would you want to? Just create a sphere. Like, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, stop being so weird. This bit here reminds me of a Star Trek badge, ruined by this bit. Yes, could you guess that I was a space, sci-fi, spacey, nerdy Percy? Yeah. Oh, let's make a pyramid. Why would I make a pyramid? A tube. And this, there we go. So this is going to be my gateway. This is going to be my racetrack. Now, I've said this before, I have issues with scaling. Had issues, but even this is pretty dumb for me. If this is my race course and my ship is going to be flying around, this gateway is massively too big. So I either need to scale this way down or scale this way, way up. But nope, just going to export them as they are and bring them into Unity, and I will scale them there because I'll have to, but I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, even if they were a similar size, I don't know, that's just... Sometimes I disappoint myself. And then I remember that it doesn't fucking matter. I still got all my shit done. There you go, save it, there you go, export it, yeah. Doesn't matter, don't need any of these settings. Didn't do anything to it, I just need the shapes. Shapes are all I need. Go into Unity. And here we go. No name. Oh, I'm still doing terrible with my naming. You got the line and you got the tube. Oh, there goes my dog. See, even isolation is making her go crazy too. Everyone's going crazy. So here I am, right? I'm just going to set up all these waypoints. So I didn't need a track. I just needed waypoints that were big enough for these goddamn ships to get through. So I didn't need a track. But I wanted a track because, you know, I thought I did need a track. So I will be making a particle. The particle effect is going to end up so the actual cube you won't see, or tube you won't see. You'll just see the particles emitting from the surface of the tube, the donut. And I should be getting there pretty soon, I think. First I decide to try and make it look like an actual gateway. Or like an actual ring in space that you fly through. I don't really think it needs to. Or maybe I wanted to have the particle system on the inside, like you fly through, like this would be full of particles. I don't know what I wanted. But you know, that's okay too. Sometimes people don't know what they want. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you'll figure it out as time goes by. Yeah. And if you don't figure it out, you know, life will figure it out for you. Usually. Like most people want this whole isolation, pandemic-y thing to be over, and it will. It'll end. But you don't always get what you want. So, wow, this is not going well. So these are problems that I have to solve. I duplicated it. Why did I duplicate it? I don't know. Maybe I was planning on flipping it over and having them like munch each other. Manger, or maybe I was planning on having it as a top and a top and a bottom, and then having the. But it doesn't work that way. This is the fun of game dev. You try things, they don't work. You try something else, or you try and tweak it, or you try and force it to work. That's usually my way of doing it. What is the expression? Don't use the. Just use the hammer instead of the. I don't know, screwdriver. There's an expression. You know, just force it in. Oh, I'm stopping my music. Yay. I don't know why. Why am I stopping my music? Is it because I'm going to run off on YouTube something? Because if I'm going to run off on YouTube something, no, I'm still working. So if I'm still working, why have I turned off my music? Why have I taken on an accent? These are all very good questions. And I wish I could answer them. I wish I could stop doing the accent, but once I start, I cannot stop. I didn't think of. I feel like I should be doing something at my computer, that I should be working, instead of just sitting here watching videos of me try desperately to get something to work. That's fuck. I've added a metallic material to the space. Why? Sometimes I wish I could actually get inside my own head and understand why I do things, but so I'm putting it inside. Yeah. So the mesh renderer off. the mesh renderer on. So I was going to use a mesh, not the mesh renderer, I was going to use a mesh collider. You'd have to make it convex. Now, if I made that a trigger and said on trigger exit, once I flew out of it, I could, say destroy the ship or what have you. You see, if only I had known that that tube was going to be too big for the... Even though I scaled up the track massively, the tube is still too big because I am an idiot. Is basically... No, I just didn't think. That's okay. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes people don't think. Actually, a lot of time people don't think. But yeah, you need to scale it in. Not that. Oh, you can scale that up. But no. It is getting very warm in here. I had to close my window because there was grass being cut out in my back garden, and not only was it loud when I was trying to record, but also I am suffering pretty badly with hay fever at the minute, and it was just, I could smell all the freshly cut grass coming in my window, and it was making my eyes really bad. Like, you can get what I'm trying to do. Even I can get what I was trying to do, and I think I'm a feckin' moron. I'm Marion. You can get what I was trying to do, but I just don't see why I didn't think of an easier way. I mean, even, like, I know I'm saying, the good thing about this is that looking back over only the last year, I can see the mistakes that I've made and ways to do it better, which means that I've come a long way and that I have learned and that I'm still learning, which is great. But when I look at something this ridiculously stupid and I'm just like, you know what? Just put a box around it. I made it way more complicated for myself than I needed to. But then, I do that a lot. I was one of the projects that I'm still working on this year. Because this year I thought that one assignment that we had to do, one game that we had to make, could do for 2 or 3 different modules. So I decided to make it a big project because I'll have loads of time. It's for these 3 different people. I'll have loads of time to work on it, but no. So it ended up being the biggest is the biggest project that I'm working on this year. It is another sci-fi game, but it's a third-person shooter-y type thing, and I showed I'm building basically the interior of a spaceship. Now, it's not the whole spaceship. It's got the 2 floors, engineering, the bridge, and then there's a couple of other rooms, some enemies going around, some particle effects, just basic stuff. But even just like the assignment was, have a character that moves, an enemy that chases you, and a win condition, and maybe some damage that can be done. So it could be, a tiny little Mario type thing. It could be anything. Like, it could have been so small, and I made mine huge. And not finished. We had to do 3 different builds. So the alpha build, the beta build, and the final build. And I've got the alpha build and the beta builds done and handed up, and I've got all them sorted. And the final build's never going to be finished. It's at a point I can hand it up and get the result, but it's not to the point that I want it to be at before I hand it up. It's never going to be at the point that I want it to be at before college is over. This is one of the things that I will be continuing to work on during the summer. But I showed it to my teacher, and he just took one look at it. And this was, only a few weeks in, so I'd only started building the level. He took a look at it and just looked at me and said, "You really like to make life hard for yourself, don't you?" And he was right, I do. But they know that I do. I put so much work into... But I mean, that's a good thing. Like, why would I go back to college as a mature student in my 30s if I wasn't going to dedicate myself to it and try and learn as much as possible and be as good as I possibly can. Because all this stuff can go into a portfolio that I can use to try and get a job once I'm finished, once I've gotten my degree. And also, it's the best way to learn is by practicing. So the more shit that I give myself to do and the more stuff that I put into the levels, like the more particle effects and stuff like that. I'm just looking, do I have the... No. Thought I had the particle effect on that. Now I don't. Yeah, but the more stuff that I do, the more I get to learn, the more I get to practice, and the better I get at all these different things, rather than just focusing on, they'll give me an assignment to say, do an animation, not even do an animation, but like take an animation from Mixamo and make it work on a character. And that'll be my assignment. That will be an assignment. That'll be a class assignment, not an actual end of year credit-y type assignment. But if I'm going to do that, then I might as well put something else into it to learn something else. Code it to work, so that I'm learning a little bit of programming as well as just, in the big project that I am doing, the one that I am like to make difficult for myself, I also put in not rigid bodies. I mean, there are rigid bodies in it. Ragdoll physics, so that when you kill the enemy, it turns on a ragdoll, which is something else that we have not learned. So again, I got to practice that. Turning the ragdoll on and off through code was something else. So I'm making it difficult for myself, but it's looking good. It's getting there, and I'm learning a lot from doing it. So that is always a good thing. So I've not really been paying attention to what's been going on the screen. I've just been rabbiting on about myself, as usual. So on trigger enter, I assume I've just been trying to sort out the track and get the gateway waypointy thing to fit into it. So on trigger enter, if you enter the disqualified trigger, you're going to print disqualified. The problem with this is if I'm doing it where I think I'm doing it, it needs to be on trigger exit. Otherwise, I'm never going to enter the trigger. I'm going to start in it, so there'll be on trigger stay or on trigger exit, unless I'm outside it and I'm about to go in. I will check, keep an eye on the console, and whoop. Yep. Mesh collider is, it's not a trigger. I need to turn that onto a trigger, so I just collided with it and got flung out of it. Now, okay, so when you start in a trigger, it does... So you can see it says disqualified. So when you start in a trigger... too many mices. Too many mices. When you start in a trigger, it will stay. Okay, suppose you are entering it at the start. So yeah, so you got to fly through. You fly in, you're disqualified. No. You fly out, you fly in, nothing is happening. It doesn't need to. Yeah, I mean, this is just sad, really. Not in a bad way. Not in a, oh my god, I'm so sad, or it's depressing. I just mean, I spent so much time trying to get that to work, and I didn't need to. It was, you cannot undo. Did I just delete it? Oh, I think I did. I think I just deleted it. Oh no. I make it bigger. So I think this is where I go, okay, well, it's not working, so I'll just make it thicker so that I can have the ship fly through it. Because scaling it in Unity is not working. Scaling it in Unity was causing weird issues, which you might have seen if you were watching what's happening on the screen, unlike me. So, well, if I'm going to be doing this, please tell me I make it smaller if I'm doing it a second time. Make it smaller than the track. Make it fit in the track. Come on, Aylowe, you can do it. Can he? Can I? I don't know. I do not know. But I think we should make this a cliffhanger. Dun dun dun. Will I make the ring fit into the track? Will I end up abandoning the track and just going placing the rings? What will I do? What will I end up doing? I mean, I've already given away most of what I've doing in the next one. If my head wasn't in the way, and I think I can turn me off. I can. Hotkeys. I figured out how to set up hotkeys in OBS. I'm so proud of myself. There is 1 hour left in this video. 1 hour. Dun, 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 dun. So that means one more part to this video, and then I have another one, because when I looked at this I thought, oh, there's only 2 videos in this as well, so it's only going to be like the graveyard, there's only going to be 2, but this one was 4 hours and I think the next one is 3. This one was 3 hours, and then is the next one 4? Either way, there's hours and hours. So yeah, so I'm going to end this one here, and then we will pick up in the next episode, because this has been almost an hour long recording. So if you like the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the like button anyway, because, you know, only starting out and I'm a nice guy, and, you know, please consider subscribing so that you can keep up to date with future videos and the craziness, and I will eventually get to that massive sci-fi RPG, which already has 26 or 27 videos that I have recorded for it, for one assignment, and I don't even know how long they are. They could be hours and hours as well. So yeah, don't miss out on that. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can be kept up to date, and then share it with everybody. Share it with family, friends, loved ones, enemies, people you don't like, people you love, and let's get this community going. So thank you very much, and I will see you later.